Why Ethereum will crush Bitcoin this bull cycle. Ethereum has recently gone price discovery mode and is making all-time high after all-time high. Not to be outdone, Bitcoin has also just crushed its own all-time high on the back of the Tesla news and has again gone price discovery mode as well. In this video, we make the bull case for Ethereum, looking at fundamental tailwinds that will push the Ethereum price higher, such as supply on exchanges, ETH 2.0 staking contract, and the CME Futures. We will also give some price predictions and short-term price targets. Here are timestamps if you want to skip ahead to certain topics in the video, and these clips are taken from our live stream, so if you enjoy, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Enjoy the video.
Let's make the
Do you
bull
want to talk
run.
about this one?
Yeah, I want to cover just a few of the... I'm very bullish on Ethereum long term. Just who knows what's going to happen in the next week. I just think CME Futures is sort of throwing a spanner into the works. We made the prediction as soon as it hit 1500. A lot of people were asking us if it hit 1600. And I made the prediction. We both made the prediction that it was going to keep running. There was too much momentum behind it. We were seeing too much supply leave exchanges, and there were too many tailwinds, Ethereum 2.0 and CME Futures launching to sort of... There was too much momentum behind it for us to see any sort of significant pullback.
So let's take a look. So yesterday we talked a lot about Ethereum and the CME Futures launching over in the US. What we expected to happen is it was going to be a spanner in the works. So it was sort of a debate over which way it was going to go, whether it was going to be negative or positive. So to catch the people up that weren't too sure, it launched. So CME Futures launching today. It's only the second crypto asset for it to launch, the only other one being Bitcoin, and it launched back in 2017 in December. So it pretty much signaled the top of the Bitcoin bull cycle, and it's pretty much like you can look back of when it launched, and it literally signaled the exact top of Bitcoin. CME Futures, I think it's all been overblown a bit. The fact that with all the FUD, all the fear, the doubt, and uncertainty sort of surrounding it launching, I think it was overblown, to be honest. So yeah, bullish from here, in my opinion. I think we keep going back up. Yeah, bull case behind Ethereum. The futures have already launched. Look, people are D-Day for Ether futures. A lot of people, I think, Michael Van de Poppe came out and said, personally, I'm not entering the markets at all here. Look, this is pretty much what people were debating whether it's going to be a positive, whether it's going to be a negative. It was just going to be a spanner in the works. Now that we're past that event, and it pretty much turned out to be a non-event, I think we can sort of move on. Now, there are actual positives for the CME Futures coming out. It does show a broader financial acceptance of the asset. It opens up the potential potential buying for institutions, and it just gives that validity to the asset like Bitcoin. So it's not all negatives. It's not all sort of volatility. The only sort of thing I'd keep in mind with it is that all of the derivatives and contracts done on it, so the call options and put options, they're all cashed. They're all finalized in cash, so you don't actually have to hold the underlying asset. So it's not like if people are shorting Ethereum that they're going to have to be bidding up the price and chasing it up. There'll be no short squeeze on Ethereum. There's going to be none of that. It's all cash settled. So keep that in mind. You don't have to buy the underlying asset, which a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork and saying that's a negative, and I would have to agree, to be honest. Going into the bull case for Ethereum, moving past the CME Futures, we touched on it yesterday a bit, but this is why I would be extremely bullish on Ethereum. So we are seeing Ethereum move out of exchanges at an alarming rate. Generally what we see with huge run-ups, especially to all-time highs, like what Ethereum has done, is we see an influx of supply move onto exchanges. So 451.3 million in ETH from top exchanges. Ethereum balance on platforms hit major lows. So what we are seeing is Ethereum getting sucked out of exchanges, and as buyers want to buy, they have to be chasing the price up because there's a supply crisis going on with Ethereum. So this is only bullish. We're past the CME event. We're past the CME Futures. It turned out to be a non-event, but this supply crisis is still going on. What's compounding this is the Ethereum 2.0 staking contract. So out from Glassnode, Ethereum 2.0 deposit contract now holds more than $5 billion US worth of Ethereum. So around about 3 million in Ethereum is staked up in this contract. For those that don't know, the 2.0, to become a node, you need to stake a certain amount of Ethereum. I think it's 32 off the top of my head. And this is held for a minimum of 18 months. So super bullish. It removes supply again, simple supply and demand. There's a huge supply crisis going on. We're seeing supply get sucked off exchanges, put into cold storage, and this is only compounded by the 2.0 deposit contract. This is about 15% of the supply of Ethereum in circulation being held up in 18-month contracts. So I'm super bullish on the Ethereum near-term outlook. The CME Futures really turned out to be a non-event. I wouldn't worry about it, and I'd feel a lot more comfortable in taking a longer position on Ethereum from here. So yeah, bullish in the short term.
What's everyone think of Raoul's 20k cycle prediction? Pretty optimistic if you ask me. Yeah, 20k is definitely a big, that's definitely a massive statement, but yeah, I mean, a lot of these people in the space are definitely giving some big predictions, and I think they're all backed by all these analysis, like Metcalfe's law. We've got stock to flow model. These things you can't deny
discount
these things.
them. Yeah, you can't discount them, and you can't play it out. Optimistic, 100% out of the question? I don't think so. For the people that don't know who Raoul Pal is, he's a former executive for JP Morgan. He's a huge macro investor, and he used to work for JP Morgan Europe. And in the past, I think he's been a Bitcoin maximalist, but he's also a supporter of Ethereum. I think his personal portfolio allocation is like 20% Ethereum. So yeah, he's still majorly bullish on, I think he has like a saying, he's irresponsibly long on Bitcoin. But he has a 20k Ethereum price target, and he has a hunch that Ethereum goes to 20k. And pretty much the entire thesis behind his is Metcalfe's law, which is sort of how you value a social network. And by that meaning, as there's more users, as there's more wallets, innately the network that is built on becomes more valuable. So an example of things that were used, that were valued, using Metcalfe's law was things like Facebook and social networks in the early days when people didn't know how to give a valuation monetarily. They'd use Metcalfe's law to give a value based on the number of users, and it was a fairly accurate way of basing that. So he sort of put the chart between the Bitcoin adoption and the Ethereum adoption based on wallets and based on usage, and he's pretty much made the assumption that the Ethereum is one cycle behind Bitcoin, and we can expect potentially a 20k Ethereum, because that's what happened to Bitcoin on the last cycle. So optimistic, I think so. Looking back at that cycle, I don't think Bitcoin had any business going to 20k, and that's why it dropped back so far into the bear market. A more reasonable price would be maybe 5 to 6k, which I think is a bit more of a reasonable price target.
Yeah, that when it ran up back in 20, that was just pure speculation. Though we saw nothing of these institutions, we saw nothing from these retails, and we really want to see some adoption in the future as well. So you never know when that correction will come. Though, got to be ready to take ETH profits all the way out. Yep, that's why you put your stop limits all the way up. You just keep raising them as the Ethereum raises, and while it's in price discovery, just hold on to it, see where it goes, see if it tops out, and then maybe take some profits along the way. That's something that's the best thing you could do while Ethereum is running up like that.
Yeah, 100%. You're never going to go broke taking profits. Never feel bad about taking profits. A lot of people get FOMO when they take profits, but yeah, best way to do is take a little bit out every now and then, and don't feel bad about it. You're making money. Isn't straight to 20k unlikely without 30 to 40% drops? 100%. So yeah, if we get to 20k this cycle, we'll 100% be seeing huge corrections.
We saw like 15, 20 to 30% drops on our way up to 20k the first time. It will be
on Bitcoin, yeah.
It is almost impossible not to see these huge market corrections all the way up to 20k. I think that's a fairly
fairly reasonable assumption to expect 20 to 30% drops. But yeah, 20k, I don't know if we see it. I think a more reasonable estimate would be 20k.
I'm the same with Jamie. I've got more Ethereum on hand than Bitcoin, just because I think that it's also going to run up against Ethereum. Against Bitcoin for the short term, and potentially even in the long term. I think Ethereum is an amazing investment right now.
B, I'm only invested in Ethereum. I'm a tech guy, so I only invest in tech I can believe in. Ethereum platform seems a way forward given the problems it looks to solve. Hope it's forever not seen as an off-brand cola / Bitcoin. Yeah, 100%.
I don't think it will ever seen as an off-brand. Or to the general public who know the most base level information, just like their names, then it will be an off-brand cola. I don't think that'll ever be known as an off-brand cola.
An off-brand Bitcoin,
just because they serve such different purposes. But I know where you're coming from when you say that.
Yeah, and I feel like in the past it has been seen as an off-brand Bitcoin, as sort of a second-rate Bitcoin. I don't know if you were the one that asked a question about Raoul Pal previously, but he sees them as entirely different, as Bitcoin as the reserve asset, as a holder value, and then Ethereum as the platform. And there's so much intellectual capital and so much work being done on the Ethereum, like on Ethereum based projects, that you just need one of them to work out. You just need one of them to explode. And the good thing about Ethereum, we're seeing huge adoption. We're seeing tons more wallets. You can't underestimate the value of the network, which is what I think a lot of people miss the point on a lot of these altcoins. They might be better, they might have cheaper fees, they might have better features, they might be further ahead in some aspects than Ethereum, but a lot of the altcoin holders who are just sort of narrow-mindedly looking at that are underestimating the monetary value of a network and the adoption and how far ahead Ethereum is than all these other altcoins, which aren't as far along as Ethereum and might not get to the level of adoption that it already is at. So yeah, I think you'll do well holding just Ethereum.
Definitely.
And it's there's no problem with holding just what you know. I think that's a good investment strategy. Yeah. And it's not to say, like with Ethereum 2.0, Vitalik, the guy that made it and who was working on updates and putting out things to fix the problems that it's facing, high gas fees, the network being clogged, like the dude's a genius. So yeah,
he can definitely get it fixed. And Ethereum is one of the biggest names. If they're still moving forward in the right direction, I don't think there'll ever be a case where won't be working on its network to be top of the line. I don't think it'll ever be falling behind in that regard, because they're still doing Ethereum 2.0 is still going to be one of the best projects out there. So when it does come out, so I don't think it will lose that much value compared to a lot of these altcoins. But
yeah, 100% agreed.
It's the most important thing is that it's got the name behind it. So
yeah, it's got the name behind it and it's got the adoptability. So yeah, what do you think ETH will be in 1 to 2 months? Interesting.
Definitely very bullish on the scenario that'll be definitely higher than what it is now. I think we will still keep running up, and we won't see a massive retraction like we've seen recently. For an exact number,
yeah, let's give an exact number to look back on.
I'd say let's give an exact number. Yeah,
Ethereum 1 to 2 months. I'm gonna go fairly conservative. 2,600 US.
I was gonna say 2,500.
2,500, 2,600. We're not gonna give you a moonshot. I mean, that's a huge increase. But I think there's too many tailwinds, too many beneficial news events over the next 1 to 2 months that's going to keep pushing Ethereum. We went over them a bit before. Yeah, 2600. I think that's a pretty safe guess.
It's still got so much gas left in the tank to keep expunging out. So
yeah, so much gas in the tank. Let's go over the three, at least my three biggest proponents as why the Ethereum price is going to keep running. We're seeing whales move huge amounts of Ethereums off exchanges, and these whales, they could be corporations, they could just be high net worth individuals, they could be companies. They're moving it into cold storage. This is supply that is going to be removed from the exchanges for the long term. This is very bullish for Ethereum. Second reason is the CME Futures. I think it's going to be beneficial. The derivatives data is showing above $2,000. This is short term, so a bit longer. I think 2600 is fairly reasonable. And then the 2.0 staking contract. There's so much. I think 15% of the Ethereum is held up in the 2.0 staking contract. It's held for 18 months, and yeah, Glassnode put out that it just reached an all-time high again. So yeah, there's a supply crisis going on with Ethereum, so super bullish.